Eazi Herbs back again, yeah, with another important convo. And today we're going to be talking about the functions of iron, red blood cells, and oxygen, yeah, and how that is needed within our body, yeah. So before I start as well, make sure you like and subscribe, share this video, and thumbs up, yeah, because it's appreciated. You know, the information that I'm kicking, people should know about, you know, and then understand the science behind it, you know. So share it out to whoever that might need it, you know. So this is how we're gonna start off with. We're gonna be talking about red blood cells, because these three topics that I'm gonna break down, they all go hand to hand, but it's gonna be a little bit of back and forth through the conversation, because how I move forward, I will be talking about blood cells, red blood cells, then I'll be talking about iron, and then oxygen, and then iron again, you know. So it's going to be a little bit mumbled up, but it would make sense. I'm going to be showing a lot of diagrams as well, yeah. So I hope I can break it down for you to understand, yeah. So red blood cells, yeah. Red blood cells are cells that are responsible for transporting oxygen around the body, yeah. That's the main function that red blood cells are made for. Red blood cells do not have organelles, yeah. So that means that it doesn't have the mitochondrial, it don't have the endoplasmic reticulum, and etc. So this means that these are the one of the only cells that can't be invaded by viruses, yeah, and etc. yeah. Red blood cells are produced in what you called the bone marrow, yeah, with the help of the liver, which produces what you called erythropoietin, yeah, erythropoietin, yeah, which is a fluid that helps the production of red blood cells. It also needs iron for the help of the bone for the help of red blood cells to be produced as well, yeah. So but red blood cells are produced within bone marrow, yeah, with the help of the liver, yeah. And red blood cells only last about 120 days, yeah. So it has its job and it's got an expiry date, yeah. So with the understanding of red blood cells, we push more forward when we can talk about the respiratory system. The respiratory system I have broke down in many videos. I think especially when I broke down the DNA and RNA, not DNA and RNA, yeah, DNA and RNA, and the breakdown of the virus, which is the COVID-19. I speak a little bit about how the virus enters your respiratory system. So I'm not going to break down it to the full extent, but I'm going to show you a little bit about the respiratory system and how that relates to the topic we're talking about today, yeah. So we know the respiratory tract. You breathe in, yeah, you inhale, it goes down your respiratory tract into what you call the Broca's area, and then within your Broca's area at the end you have small little balls, yeah. These small little balls, yeah, come by the trillions, yeah. They're called alveoli, yeah, and they're responsible for converting oxygen into what you know now as carbon dioxide, yeah. So we know how that travels, yeah. So that's the input and the output, yeah. It's called the respiratory circuit, yeah. So we understand how oxygen enters, yeah. With that process of it entering, it also splits, like I spoke before, how the atom of oxygen splits into what you call molecules. Everything that gets digested or inhaled by the body, it splits or breaks down into smaller forms, microforms, for cells to pick up via receptors, or cells to carry, like red blood cells, yeah. So the oxygen molecules get split, no, the atom gets split into two molecules, and etc. It gets pushed via where you called the alveoli, yeah, into what you call the bloodstream or the blood capillary, yeah. These are gateways. It's two gateways, yeah. There's a what you called a flow and return, yeah. This is all attached to the alveoli balls. Remember, we've got trillions, so they're all, it's like veins that's just harboring the alveoli balls. Yeah, this is where the alveoli can push these oxygen molecules within the blood capillaries. Yeah, because this type of transportation can't be as thick, so they're practically attached to the alveoles. Yeah, alveoles push these small molecules within the bloodstream. Yeah, these bloodstream, or the blood capillary, is compiled of what you call red blood cells. Yeah, and we broke down how the fact that red blood cells ain't got organelles, but what it does have is what you call hemoglobin. Yeah, so I'm going to show you a diagram of exactly what I'm talking about, how these gateways flow returns are on the alveoli balls. Yeah, and yeah, let me just show you. So the alveoli balls look like this. Yeah, as you can see, there's trillions of them. Yeah, this is a quick diagram of what it looks like, and then the blue and the red are the blood capillaries. Yeah, I'm going to speak a little bit more of what they are and what they do. Yeah, this is where the air gets pushed into your bloodstream. Yeah, as you can see, I hope you can clearly see. Yeah, so you got blue and red veins. Yeah, these are gateways. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. Yeah, actually it kind of breaks it down, so let me just break it down. The gateways are the flow, which is the red blood cells picking up the oxygen, the O2. Yeah, and then the return, which is the blue, which distribute the carbon dioxide back to the alveoles. Yeah, so I'm going to speak a little bit more about it, but this is the flow and return that I'm speaking about. Yeah, we're going to go a little bit more into another diagram. Yeah, as you can see, hope people can follow me. Yeah, I mean, no, like I said, the red blood cells get produced in your bone marrow. Yeah, with the help of the liver. Yeah, so but with, okay, so we understand that oxygen gets breaking down into molecules and get pushed into what you called your bloodstream. Yeah, and the red blood cells pick them up. How does the red blood cells pick them up? Because they have no organelles in it, and etc. They pick them up via what you have is hemoglobin. Hemoglobin is a protein, yeah, or a structure which O2 and carbon dioxide can attach to. Yeah, so I'm going to show you the diagram of hemoglobin and explain what it is. Yeah, so that's what hemoglobin is used for within the red blood cells, is to pick up what we have, O2 and carbon dioxide. That's its main function, the hemoglobin. Yeah, and we're gonna show you, and this is where, so now, yeah, so this is the structure of hemoglobin. Yeah, but this is where you need iron. So the red blood cells need iron. Yeah, so as you can see, the hemoglobin, the B chain and the A chain, alpha chain and beta chain. Yeah, which they're all polypeptides. Yeah, yeah, so a form of protein. Yeah, and with inside there you can see, I hope you can see an outer layer which looks like a nucleus, a nucleus. Yeah, which is called heme. Yeah, the heme is structured right on the right hand side. This is what heme is. Yeah, so the outer layer of this holding space is made out of nitrogen, carbohydrates and etc. Yeah, yeah, so and now you have the, as you can see, the Fe2 plus, yeah, which is the iron. Yeah, so the iron is in center of the heme. Yeah, as you can see clearly. Yeah, so you need iron. So oxygen needs red blood cells. Oxygen need red blood cells and the hemoglobin for the transportation of the oxygen around your body, and the red blood cells need iron for the structure of hemoglobin. Yeah, so that's how it works. Yeah, so now this is how oxygen attach, that the oxygen molecules attach like magnetism to what you call the Phe2, which is the iron inside the heme, yeah? That's how it works, yeah? So, red blood cells pick up these molecules via hemoglobin. Hemoglobin picks up the molecule via the iron, yeah, of the heme, yeah? These are many small little molecules, micro particles of oxygen, yeah? It gets pushed now. This is the transportation of the bloodstream, yeah, and the red blood cells. So the red blood cells travels to two located areas, yeah, through those gateways, the flow and return gateways. Yeah? So I'm going to show you these gateways and how they look on the body. This is the gateways that we're talking about, yeah. These are what you call the blood capillaries, yeah, or the veins or the bloodstream, yeah. You have the flow and return. You got the blue and the red. Yeah, this is showing you which the flow and return. Yeah, each part of your body. This is the transportation of oxygen to cells. This is where cells eat. Yeah, pick up these oxygen. Yeah. So the red blood cells travels with these oxygen molecules via the hemoglobin all the way up, all around your body, yeah? But what it does, it releases them. It releases the oxygen molecules, yeah? To each, wherever, how far they go, wherever their destination spot is, they release oxygen yeah? And via doing that, they get weaker and they contract a negative the heme contracts a negative magnetism, which then picks up the carbohydrates, yeah, and this is where the red blood cells enter into your return, yeah. So via it drops off the oxygen to the destination, and then the negative magnetism within the iron hemoglobin picks up the carbon dioxide. The same principle via return. So this is how the gateway of oxygen, yeah. So this is what you called the transportation of oxygen via respiratory system, yeah. It's called, what's it called? Yeah. So yeah, I'll try to find a scientific word, but I can't think of it in the top of my head. Yeah, so now we're gonna go back to iron. Now we understand basically cells need oxygen. This is how they pick up the oxygen through the red blood cells, transporting them and then dropping them off. Yeah, we're gonna look at now iron a little bit more in depth. What is iron needed? Yeah, because cells can't function, your body can't function without oxygen. Yeah, so it's more than just like the cells thrive of this. And I'm gonna break it back a little bit forward and back. So now we talk about iron. Now iron is needed, yeah, because it has three major functions within the body. Iron is needed for one, hemoglobin to perform the attachment of oxygen and the help of the circulation of the oxygen around the body. Yeah, it also is needed for electron transportation, yeah, or transcription, yeah. And it also needed for, what's it needed for? It's also needed for, okay, the production of red blood cells, yeah, because I broke down how red blood cells is needed via the liver, which is producing the erythropoietin, yeah. The liver needs iron. Liver takes a majority of the iron to produce the erythropoietin for the bone marrow to produce more red blood cells. So this is the function of red blood cells. This is why you need iron. This is why you need iron. It's for the liver to produce more erythropoietin, the transportation of electrons in through transcription, and the help of the hemoglobin transferring the oxygen around the body. Yeah, so that's the three things, yeah. Oxygen is also needed for what you called the myoglobin, yeah, which is your muscles. Yeah, your muscles has a protein, yeah, that uses oxygen for its activity. Yeah, so iron is also needed as well, as well, because oxygen and iron comes together. So you need the oxygen and the iron. In the myoglobin, they uses oxygen, yeah, to convert the muscle mass into energy, yeah. But it needs obviously the iron for it to do so. You need the hemoglobin to transport the oxygen to your body. So like I'm saying, it goes hand to hand, yeah. So with the transporting of oxygen around the body and the help of iron is the hemoglobin. So now, and the help of producing more red blood cells, it needs iron to produce so, because most of it is being needed for the liver. So now we're talking about this transcription, or the electron transporting, yeah. Within the cell, the mitochondrial, it needs what you know as oxygen to convert glucose into ATP. This is the help where iron is needed. Majority of the iron is needed within the mitochondrial, which then has the help of the oxygen to convert, needs the help of the oxygen to convert the AP2, which is the glucose, into APT and be used for oxygen. And this is where the return for cytochromes, yeah, which is an enzyme, yeah, that helps the converting of glucose into what you call ATP, yeah. This is used for energy, yeah, in the cell. So iron is needed. Yeah. This is the main function of where oxygen and iron is needed hand to hand to create energy for the cell, yeah. So with that, it jumps straight back into what you called the circuit that we're talking about. Through this process of converting energy and of the cell, you will have what you called aerobic respiratory, yeah, or aerobic respiration within the cell, because the cell is now taking in oxygen, using iron to convert glucose into energy, and then producing what you called ATP, yeah, and then basically, converting glucose into energy. Its byproduct, its waste product, is what you called carbon dioxide, yeah. So the circuit and the circle is where the iron needs oxygen, oxygen needs iron, the red blood cells need to produce the oxygen into what you call the cells, the iron is needed for the cells to generate the energy from, yeah. And then a waste product is carbon dioxide. So after the energy is formed within the cell, the waste product and the byproduct is carbon dioxide. And this is where carbon dioxide is formed within inside the body, and then how the hemoglobin on the return flow of the capillary systems picks up these particles or molecules of carbon dioxide, and then it flows all the way back to where you know now as the alveoli, and then the alveoli push them out your respiratory system, and this is where you exhale carbon dioxide and breathe in oxygen. So this is how the circuit works, yeah. And this is why you need iron, and the fact of the job of oxygen, you see, for the electron transcription, the transporting of oxygen, and also the production of creating red blood cells within the bone marrow, yeah. These are the three main functions of why you need oxygen, and iron. Yeah. So now we're gonna talk a little bit more of how, because iron is not made with inside the body. Yeah. Especially the amount that we need. There's an estimate of around 4 milligrams of iron that average human beings should be intaking per day. Yeah. And the ladder is the fact that hemoglobin takes majority of the iron, and then you have the myoglobin, yeah, which is the muscle mass, and then you have what you called the transferrin, yeah, which is converted. So I'm gonna talk a little bit more of how, yeah, and show you a little bit of a diagram of how no, I won't even show you that diagram, but I just broke it down. The diagram of how the cytochrome enzymes convert the iron into what you call now F energy, and transporting the electron into the mitochondrial for the ABT to be formed. Yeah, so you don't want to see that. Yeah, so this is the distribution of iron. Yeah, just to have a little look of what the ladder is. Yeah, hemoglobin, myoglobin, and enzymes, yeah, referring, yeah. So the liver needs a lot of iron as well for it to help produce red blood cells, yeah. So let's go a little bit deep on the types of iron. So we know now we have in dietary, because most of our iron is produced by our dietary. That's why you should be eating a lot of kale, spinach, and etc. Yeah, food that contains dry raisins as well, dry fruits, you know, like dates and etc., and even up to herbs like sarsaparilla, other sources. You know, you got iron in seaweed also, you know, so you need up to about 4 milligrams of iron per day. You know, most of it get used by the transportation of red blood cells, the hemoglobin, the liver, and the muscle mass, and then even up to your cells utilizing it to convert energy. Yeah, so iron is very important. Yeah, I'm gonna talk on another episode about different types of iron deficiency problems, but that's another episode. We could talk about iron deficiency, we could talk about sickle cell and etc., because this is all under the same paradigm of red blood cells, iron, and oxygen. Yeah, so just going to break down the science between different types of iron. So we know that we consume most of our iron, or not if all of our iron, through dietary. Yeah, there's 2 different types of iron that we consume. Yeah, one is called heme iron, and the other one's called non-heme iron. Yeah, don't get it confused on the hemoglobin, where you have heme and it contains the iron. Yeah, this is a different type of subject we're talking about. Yeah, we're talking about the dietary heme iron and non-heme iron. You will find one in what you have as meat, and the other in plant-based. Yeah, with the meat source of heme, yeah, you will find heme and non-heme iron. Heme iron is what you will see as Fe2+. No, sorry. Non-heme iron is Fe2+. Yeah, and the heme iron you will see as Fe3+. Yeah, scientists will tell you that the heme iron, which is found in meat, is easily absorbed. Yeah, which is true, because the gateways of where the cells, let me show you the gateways I'm talking about. The gateways of where the cells convert the iron into what you called a soluble iron is where you would have and use for, these are the gateways I'm talking about. Yeah, the type of gateways. Yeah, so they will say that Fe3 plus is easy to absorb. It's because of the converting of how the cells convert the iron into what you call a soluble iron. Yeah, so the gateways of where the cells convert the iron into what you called a soluble iron is where you would have and use for, these are the gateways I'm talking about. Yeah, the type of gateways. Yeah, so they will say that Fe3 plus is easy to absorb. It's because of the converting of how the gateways will open and transfer the iron into usable iron, because the iron that you eat don't turn usable until it gets converted by certain gateways. Yeah, so that's the reason why meat iron is more absorbed, yeah, because it don't have to go through too much translation. But the gateway, no, the non-heme iron, which is plant-based, yeah, is not as accessible for the body via cells, yeah, or red blood cells and the hemoglobin, via if it is just the process of Fe2 plus. You need to accompany Fe2 plus with what you have now as vitamin C, phytic acid, and even D3 as well, yeah, which is the sun. You need these elements accompanied with plant-based iron, yeah, for your body to easily transcript the iron into usable iron for the cells, yeah, to transport around the body. That's all it is. But if you do with natural dietary, you will find that vitamin C is always accompanied with iron anyway, you know, through dietary. This is why you will find problems if you go out to buy supplements and then you just get only iron tablets, yeah. So I wouldn't advise that. Always find the source supplement, you know, which would always be accompanied with either D3, phytic acid, or vitamin C, yeah. So there's a content of iron as well, where the fact that if you consume certain dietary, you would decrease the absorption of iron and decomplete it, yeah. So casein or calcium in the form of milk and cheese, etc., depletes the iron, yeah. So you don't accompany iron with calcium because it depletes it. Too much iron or too much calcium can deplete the content of iron. So you have to be careful when it eats certain foods with certain food, yeah. So let me just show you a little diagram of what depletes iron, yeah. You also have caffeine as well. So these are the decrease in absorption of iron, yeah, and what it could cause. It can cause celiac disease and gastric tomy, yeah. This is a problem within your colon, yeah. Goes back to your colon all the time. But yeah, milk and cheese, you know, because one thing as well with the milk and cheese, why they put it there as well, is because that the milk and cheese is never accompanied with the magnesium with the ratio of 2:1, and they don't have the vitamin D. So it don't. So the calcium, this is where you have overload of calcium that cause havoc to your body, which is called calcification. So they're telling you that these products overload you with calcium, and it decreased the absorption of iron. So heme iron and non-heme iron, also the difference is also with the fact that meat iron, which is the heme iron, is also known as a carcinogenic. This means that it can create and creates. It can and it does create what you know now as abnormal cells. Another term, cancers within the body, yeah. So this is where you have to be careful with eating and consuming iron that's within meat. Eating iron for meat, liver, and etc., you know, because it's very high in iron, but it's the wrong iron. The iron that are easily absorbed, but it causes carcinogenic. It causes cancerous, yeah. So this is why you have to understand the science behind what you're consuming, because vitamin C and phytic acid can be absorbed and you won't have these problems, you know. So that's the breakdown of what iron, oxygen, and the structure of red blood cells do for the body and how it helps the body, you know. And then you can find certain types of irons